Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe. I'm here with the co-host
EGO.
DGO or George. We are releasing this on Star Wars Day, May the 4th. Be with you, May 4th, 2026. Please like us, subscribe us. We release long form YouTube every day, short form Instagram, TikTok, and other platforms. Today around the continent, we had Inter win the Scudetto. It's their 21st overall Scudetto, their second in 5 years, and they, of course, lost the Champions League final last year. And good for them for coming back. We also had Real Madrid beating Espanyol in what was largely an inconsequential game. Their season will almost certainly end trophyless. And then in England, you had Tottenham beat Aston Villa 2-1. Villa scored the last kick of the match. You had Bournemouth beat Crystal Palace, and you had Manchester United beat Liverpool. And of course, one of the big stories is 6, 7, 8 could very well get Champions League. Right now, it's Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton on 52, 51, 50. If Aston Villa continue to stay in fifth and win the Europa League, sixth place is Champions League. And as of right now, Bournemouth would get that spot. George, regarding today's game, I kind of think Crystal Palace was a bit checked out. They have a European semifinal this week. They really don't have anything to fight for in the league. I don't think they started most of their starters. Still credit to Bournemouth. Like, they played fantastic. They, I'm not sure that penalty was a penalty, but they had a great game overall and completely deserved the win. And they are still the longest unbeaten streak in England right now. Do you think this Bournemouth team can compete if they got to the Champions League?
The issue is that one of the concerns I have about teams like Bournemouth, now that their coach, Andoni Raiola, will be leaving and we'll be having Marcus Rose coming in, my concern is apart from change of manager, there's that high tendency that clubs like this will lose players. Now, if we had Andoni Raiola still in charge, maybe we'll still be able to know how to handle the situation. But now you're having a new manager, and then maybe players who have done so well for the season are leaving. It becomes a bit difficult. So that's where I have some kind of doubts regarding the Bournemouth team. So I don't know if they will really find it easy if they play in the Champions League. It would be better if they play maybe in the Europa League or maybe in the Conference League. I feel they will be able to handle that much better than playing in the Champions League. The only thing is that Bournemouth will like to play in the Champions League, probably just to make money, because the money you get being a participant in the Champions League is something
You
that
know,
every team would like to get.
George, I'll say this. I'm a Brentford fan, and we are in seventh, point behind Bournemouth. And it's a very real possibility that we get sixth, Aston Villa wins the Europa, gets fifth place, we're in the Champions League. I would be thrilled even if we lost every single game. It's you're a fan for seasons like next season. If you're Bournemouth, if you're Brighton, if you're Brentford, everybody up and down the entire club. It's just like we're here, and if it's your fifth, your sixth, your seventh, your eighth Champions League season, you're not just excited to be there. But all these teams, they're thrilled if they get wrecked every single game. And Brentford would not. I mean, I don't think Brentford, Bournemouth, I mean, they're fully capable of beating top teams once in a while and have this season. I don't think they do great in the Champions League, but I think up and down fan base, from the lowest fan, the youngest fan, to the owner, I think all three of those clubs would be absolutely thrilled to get the Champions League.
No, the issue is that most fans will be very excited about that because they will get to see top players. Maybe imagine you have Bournemouth being in the same group, or maybe they are meant to play against a Real Madrid. What it means is that the fans will have the opportunity to get to watch Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham. They will get to see them live. So these are the benefits that comes to the fans. So they
Of
wouldn't
course.
mind even if they are beating merciless. They don't care. They just want to have that experience. So I'm sure Bournemouth will not really mind. But in terms of competing, that's just the area I'm looking at it from. They may
Yeah,
not be
yeah.
able to compete among the best
I mean,
teams in
of
Europe.
course, yeah, I agree. I don't think they'd be competitive. I think even if they got to the first knockout stage, that round of 24, that awkward where you don't get the bye, I still think it'd be a huge success for these teams. I will say too, uh, that just as a Brentford supporter. Again, like it'd just be exciting to see these guys, play against the top teams week in week out. So, um,
But
yeah,
Joe, we
and
need
but I
to
was
we need to really commend the Bournemouth team, because a team that has a 15 unbeaten streak, that's quite amazing, because the only team that did something a bit close to that was Arsenal when they were 11 games unbeaten. Now Bournemouth has 15 this season. That's something that is quite commendable, and it's a club record for the team. So it's a good one for them.
Yeah, what are you guys going to say, George? I'm not sure how much the specific manager means if the whole club and organization is devoted to continuity. And I'll speak to this last summer, Thomas Frank and two or three Brentford players left, and we've been able to continue to pick up because a well-run club has contingency plans for every single person leaving. They know the likelihood of their best players leaving. They know certain players who have matured and big clubs are after them and are 24 years old and have a £100 million price tag, that guy's leaving and what they're going to do with that money. A well-run club knows all of this months, years, seasons in advance. They plan for it. Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton are well-run clubs. If their manager leaves, if their players leave, they know the guy in the second division in Germany who's going to slot right in. They know the player who's on their bench who's going to slot right in. They know five different managers across Europe who are good profile for what they want and will come in and do this. So I don't think it matters that much that Ariel is leaving, as fantastic as he is. He set the foundations, and again, I'm really excited to see just this other Champions League race kind of ramp up at now that we kind of know who the top five is, barring a crazy situation. So George, let's move on to Manchester United 3, Liverpool 2. I only watched the highlights of this game because I was playing at the same time, but it very much looks like Manchester United outplayed Liverpool. The two Liverpool goals were Liverpool pressed pretty well, but they didn't. Liverpool didn't create outside of those two chances. They kind of won the ball up high off bad passes, which still takes a lot of work. But Liverpool did not create much outside of the pressing and open play. Manchester United looked like the much better team, and it just McAllister is, I don't know what happened to him. He has not had a good season. Um, George, do you think this is more Manchester United playing well? Do you think Liverpool are playing bad? Do you think it was a combination of the two?
The issue is that, like I tell you, Liverpool this season, they've not been that fantastic. And if you look at this game, even the goals they scored, you see that they are blunders from Manchester United. The first goal by Szoboszlai was as a result of a wrong pass Amad Diallo made. And then the second one from Gapco was the goalkeeper who made the error. So
Yeah,
you see that those two goals were from errors. But I must commend Zoboslai for that beautiful goal he was able to score, because it takes a lot of intelligence and a lot of great quality for one to be able to get that kind of ball and then utilize it and put it at the back of the net.
he did a
So
great job.
and for me, he is the best Liverpool player for the season, if you ask me. That guy has been really, in short, he has really helped the team. He has taken them to even where they are currently, based on his performance. But this is a game Manchester United deserve to win. They played much better than Liverpool. In short, they even created more opportunities, more goal scoring opportunities than Liverpool. So it was a game they deserve to win. And this is the first time Manchester United, over more than a decade, they've been able to do a double against Liverpool. So it's a good one. And Michael Carrick has done a whole lot, because the information we have now is that since he joined Manchester United, Manchester United has gained more points than any other team in the Premier League. So
Mm.
if we are going by that, do you think the management of Manchester United, or let me say the board, do you think they will be willing to allow Michael Carrick to continue with this team, or they will get a new manager?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that I think so. I don't think that Michael Carrick is going to elevate this Manchester United team to the level of Arsenal or Man City or what Liverpool has been before this season for like 3 or 4 years where they're in competing for titles. I do feel like he can bring stability to the club, can bring consistent Champions League, obviously, which is important. I think that if he had 3 or 4 years that is similar to what Ole did, where he got second twice, I think Ole did, but he never really competed for the title. I think that's a pretty good stability wise. I think Manchester United with Ten Hag and Amorim had awful stability and will need to stay. I mean, yeah, I think Michael Carrick, if he gets third, fourth, second for 2 or 3 years, is a great option, and I think Manchester United need to do that in order to build out this squad.
So, so do you think it should be given a chance at least? It should be given at least a season after this season to see what he can do with this team. You don't think he deserves such kind of chance with what
I
he has
think
done?
yes, I think Manchester United has to be doing their due diligence. If you have Xabi Alonso out there in Europe, or an absolute A-list manager who wants to come, Xabi Alonso will not come to Manchester United given his history at Liverpool. But if you had a Zidane who wanted to come to Manchester United, who also probably wouldn't come, if you had a guy like that who wanted to come, would you keep Carrick and tell that guy person no? I don't think so. I think there's definitely managers out there that Manchester United have to be putting feelers out for that would be good options for them. And I think they have to do their due diligence. I think it's likely will end up as Carrick, just because just the great job he's done. But I think they'll do a full and complete manager search.
But Joe, if we are going by what you are saying now, remember before now, people will always rate a Ruben Amorim higher than Michael Carrick. But he came to Manchester United and he couldn't really stabilize the team. He couldn't really do much based on expectation. But a Carrick came in who understand the club culture and he was able to stabilize things. Don't you feel that such a kind of manager should be given some kind of at least opportunity to see what he can do, even if it's for a season?
I remember Ole, and yeah, he was like really good at motivating players. There's certain tactical setups he did well in. He definitely did great in developing certain players. There were certain times where he was absolutely tactically outclassed. I think that team, they had several embarrassing losses, and like that that I just felt like were a reflection on Ole's capabilities tactically as a manager. There's just no replacing just going through the second, third leagues, with a lower team and learning that stuff. And Michael Carrick, I don't think has the experience to do that. I think that he can absolutely do what Ole did and get second and not really compete for the title. But I think long term, there are coaches out there who are better developing players. There are coaches out there who are better tactically. I think that the whole understanding club culture is a bit overstated in terms of its importance. I think Amorim was just a bad fit. So
Because
we'll see, though.
my concern is when you bring in a new manager now, since this guy has been able to stabilize the team and uh, he has done so well, it will be much advisable to just allow him to continue and see what he can do. Because you might bring in somebody new now, and the person will start trying to bring in new system, new ideology, and it might be difficult for the players to cope with that. So I feel when something is not doesn't need to be fixed, you just leave it the way it is until there is need to fix something. Now, the way Manchester United is playing, I don't think something has to be fixed at this point. That's my own opinion. But
Yeah. George, let's disagree and move on because I'd love to know what our viewers think as well. Can we talk about one thing too? Alexis Macallister, I mentioned it earlier in the show. He's had a very poor season. He's 27 years old, and in my opinion, it's probably too young to say this is aging. I don't know what's going on. Do you feel like, George, this is a guy he's hit his peak in his career? Do you think this is a guy who can come back? Maybe he needs a change of scenery. Like, what types of things do you think go on to see a player like this? Because I think he was one of the best midfielders, probably from his first season at Brighton to the title-winning season at Liverpool, and then he just had maybe he just had a really bad season. What do you think, George?
well, sometimes players might have some personal and emotional problems they might be going through that may not be known to us. And then you see that affect even the way they play. Just that because they are footballers and it's their job to play, they don't have a choice than to play. So they might be going through some emotional problems that may not be known to us, and that may have really affected it because I'm really surprised how he dropped in form. He's not somebody who is in his 30s that will say, okay, maybe based on age. At this age where he is currently, he's supposed to even be playing even at a much top level than the younger players. So I'm really surprised that McAllister has not been that great this season because I knew the way he played last 2 seasons. It was very good. He was one of the key players Liverpool had. And when it comes to marking, he marks with high level of consciousness. You don't see him picking up cards, but this season, McAllister's even the way he goes about his marking, he does it in a very careless way, gets
Hmm.
cards. That's not the McAllister I've known. So I'm thinking maybe it's a personal challenge he's undergoing, which many of us are not aware of. Let's hope maybe after the end of the season, maybe we're able to find his form
Yeah.
and put up a good
Sometimes
performance next season.
sometimes a player needs to change the scenery. Like I know players who appear to decline severely for a season or two, and then change scenery, and they're great. An example I'll throw out is Pirlo was stagnating, and then he at I think it was Milan, and then transferred to Juventus at pretty like he's like 31 or something when that happened, and was very successful for Juventus for several years. Um, yeah, and he's an all time great. Sometimes just players need to change the scenery. It's the reality. Timo Werner did not. England did not do well with him. Julian Alvarez. England was not good for him. That happens pretty regularly. I think a lot. I think that we as fans tend to discount the fact that these guys, England is not their native culture. They're from Argentina or Germany or Portugal or Africa or Nigeria or whatever. And maybe their kids are only speak Spanish or French or German, and they want more family support. And I think that we as fans tend to discount that aspect of it. And a well-run club has a structure in place for those types of players to come in and find their community and culture within these English cities. But it's still difficult. It's not. It's especially to be away from your support system. So who really knows what's going on with McAllister? I think that I think he's a fantastic player. I'd love to see him to return to that, and I'm disappointed in his season. George, let's move on to Tottenham versus Aston Villa. I watched most of this game, and I'll say Aston Villa looked bad. I think they're also like they don't care about the league right now. They're guaranteed Champions League, and they have a European semifinal to worry about. Tottenham looked fighting harder and better than I've seen this year in 2026. What is your takeaway from this game?
The issue is that you can imagine Aston Villa made 7 changes in this team today. So
Yeah,
definitely, when you are making 7 changes, that will definitely impact on the performance of the team. And this is not a team that has a very huge squad depth. So that affected them today. They were very awful, especially in the first half. Tottenham were, in short, they surprised me today with their performance. They were pressing very high, and everybody was very determined. The work rate of each of the Tottenham players today was really amazing. I have not seen Tottenham play the way they play today since the start of the season. For me, this is their best performance since this season started. They did so well. I don't know what Roberto the best Deserbi must have told them because I knew there were some comments he even made uh, before that game trying to encourage the fans that you can't just keep crying. You have to go to the field and then do something. So I believe he must have given a lot of motivational speech to the players because the players were really amazing today. They worked so hard for the victory, and I was happy they got the victory. 2 goals, first goal from Conor Gallagher from outside the box, and then the second goal was from Richarlison, another from him, and then they were able to hold their own. Second half, Aston Villa were trying to see if they could come into the game, but the hard work of the guys from Tottenham made it very difficult for them. Not until I think towards the injury time of the second half, when the guy called Buendia, Emiliano Buendia,
it
was
had
able
great
to
header.
score a consolation goal. So Tottenham really deserved to win today's game because they did well and they deserve to have the 3 points. Now they are 1 point ahead of West Ham. That's
Yep.
going to
It's going to
be
be a super exciting relegation race the last 3 weeks. Brentford, we played our part today. Yesterday, or Saturday, we beat West Ham 3-0. George, let me close out with their standard questions for people. Number one, should Michael Carrick be the next manager of Manchester United for permanent? Number two, Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton. Do you feel like they could compete in the Champions League? Number three, Alexis Macallister. Do you think he's going to return to be one of the best midfielders in the world, whether it's next season or 2 years from now? And number four, will Tottenham stay up? Let us know your thoughts. Thank you for listening.